Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating theory from our source material that kind of flips the script on why we look and feel the way we do. It suggests that there's this powerful little controller inside all of us that really holds the keys to our energy, our weight, and even our mood. And it's probably not what you think it is. We're always told that our physical traits, our body shape, our energy levels are pretty much written in our DNA. But what if that's not the whole story? The source we're looking at today asks a really big question. Is it our genetics or is it our metabolism that's truly running the show? And boom, here's the central idea, laid out nice and simple. The source material basically claims that the state of your metabolism has a much more direct, much more powerful impact on how you look and feel than your genetic code ever will. Now, that's a pretty bold statement, and it definitely turns a lot of conventional wisdom on its head. So let's break down how this whole theory is supposed to work. Okay, so to really get this, we first have to uncover what the source calls the body's hidden master controller, the thing that sets your entire metabolic rate. And nope, it's not your stomach and it's not your brain. It's actually a tiny little gland with a massive, massive job. So let's meet the thyroid gland. According to this source, this little organ in your neck is the powerful engine that drives your metabolism, your energy levels, and yep, even how you look. It's literally the thing that sets the pace for how fast your body burns through energy. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. The source suggests that a huge majority of people, we're talking maybe 65% or even more, are just walking around with their thyroids not working at full capacity. I mean, think about that for a second. You could be metabolically suppressed, feeling all the effects, and not even have a clue that it's happening. Which, of course, leads to the big question. How would you even know, right? If your metabolic engine is kind of sputtering along, what are the warning signs? Well, the source actually proposes a surprisingly simple way you can check for yourself. And here it is. The source proposes this simple at-home check. Just take your temperature the absolute moment you wake up, before you even swing your legs out of bed. The claim is that if your reading is consistently below 97.8 degrees Fahrenheit, that's a pretty strong clue that your thyroid isn't firing on all cylinders. And that low temperature reading, it's often not alone. There are a bunch of other signs that tend to go with it. Things like having cold hands and feet all the time, or feeling totally drained even when you get a full night's sleep. Or what about that afternoon brain fog that just hits you like a wall? According to this theory, these aren't just random annoyances, they're direct signals from a metabolism that's being held back. So if the thyroid can be suppressed, the next question is pretty obvious. Why? What's causing this? Well, according to our source material, the answer really boils down to two major culprits that are, frankly, everywhere in our modern life. Okay, culprit number one, polyunsaturated fats, or PUFAs. You probably know them better as all those common seed oils. The source is incredibly blunt about this, actually calling them thyroid poison because of the disruptive effect it claims these fats have on our metabolic health. So this table kind of breaks down the alleged how. First, they can block a really important conversion process. So think of it this way. Your body makes a potential thyroid hormone, T4, but it needs to be converted into the active hormone, T3, to actually boost your metabolism. Well, these oils supposedly get in the way of that. Second, they can damage our mitochondria. Those are the tiny little powerhouses inside our cells. And finally, studies at the source sites suggest they can just directly lower our resting metabolic rate. The second major culprit is chronic stress. And this quote from the source, wow, it really just hits home, doesn't it? From a biological standpoint, that constant, low-grade pressure of modern life can trigger the exact same ancient survival response as a literal life-or-death emergency. So here's the critical point. When your body senses these modern stressors, it pumps out the stress hormone, cortisol. And when cortisol is chronically high, your thyroid gets a constant signal to slow everything down, to conserve energy because your body thinks you're in a perpetual state of emergency. So we've identified the problem and the alleged culprits. But the source doesn't just leave you there. It actually lays out a really actionable plan designed to support and revive your thyroid function. And it's called the Metabolic Revival Protocol. And here are the 6 main pillars of that protocol. You'll notice this isn't some crash diet. It's a series of foundational lifestyle shifts. So let's run through them. 1. Eat enough food. Makes sense. Your body needs fuel to run a healthy metabolism. 2. Eliminate seed oils, getting rid of that thyroid poison we talked about. 3. Manage stress to lower that chronic cortisol. 4. Get key nutrients, giving the thyroid the raw materials it actually needs. 5. Remove disruptors, so avoiding things like certain plastics. And finally, 6. Fix circadian rhythm, which means aligning with your natural sleep-wake cycle.
And to make this really practical, the protocol suggests some pretty simple swaps in your day-to-day life. So, instead of cooking with seed oils, the recommendation is to use stable fats like butter or ghee. Maybe swap out plastic food containers for glass and steel. And use filtered water instead of water straight from the tap. All these little changes are aimed at reducing your body's exposure to things the source says can mess with your hormones.
The plan also really emphasizes that the thyroid is, well, it's a hungry organ. It requires very specific raw materials to do its job right. Nutrients like iodine, selenium, and zinc are absolutely crucial, but the source argues that these are often stripped away from all the processed foods that make up so much of our modern diets. And that really brings us to the final thought here. After breaking down this whole perspective from the power of the thyroid to all the things that can apparently hold it back, the one question that's left is this. Could our everyday choices, the foods we eat, the stress we carry, could they be silently shaping our metabolism and in turn how we look and feel way more than we ever imagined?